toward evil, toward sin. Okay, perjury, false witness. Now this was toward the end of the verses, right? That the one who bears false witness. Now, false witnesses are lies, right? But there's more to it than that. Get my scripture here. Here we go. A false witness who pours out lies. You see, we've already covered lying. We've covered lying in a social context. Me and you, right? You and her. Him and somebody else, right? Lying to make ourselves look good. You know, no, Mama, I don't know who got the cookies out of the cookie jar, right? Yeah, right. So who let the dogs out? Not me. That wasn't me. No, not here, right? So this is more than just telling a lie. This is telling an official lie before authority, right? You can lie. I tell you what, I heard a lawyer say this one time. If you gotta lie to the cops, to the police, while they're investigating something, right? Don't say anything. Ask for a lawyer. Tell me. I'll tell them. Later on, if you change your story, I'm just the dirty, slimy lawyer. And I'll say, hey, I got it wrong. I made a mistake. Sorry. Because if you do it, and it goes on the record, you're guilty of perjury. Officially telling a lie before authority. That's the difference. Right? People can, you wonder, right? How does somebody get away with lying? Because they're not on the record. Right? So Lucifer's fifth sin. And I'm just numbering these out because we're going down the list, right? Job 1:9 through 11. Again in Job. And this is after God had pointed out Job, and he said, hey, have you considered my servant Job? He's a perfect man. And so Satan is going to lie now before the ultimate authority. Right? So does Job fear God for nothing? Question. Hast not thou made a hedge about him and about his house and about all he has on every side? You protect him. He said, thou hast blessed the work of his hand. His substance is increased in the land. He said, everything he does. If that guy throws a shovel on the ground and it falls over and digs up a little dirt, there's gold under there. If he plants one corn seed, he gets 1.5 acres of corn. This is what Satan's basically saying. He said, I can't touch, you protect his horses. None of his horses ever run off. None of them ever get sick. None of them ever die giving birth to a colt. You protect his camels, his sheep. I can't even touch his wife. Right? And she was the one who urged him to curse God and die, so there was a little something going on there. He said, put forth your hand now, touch all that he has, he will curse thee to thy face. That is not a question. That is not a supposition. That is given as a statement of fact. He will do it. Satan has just like, he's got to know the truth. He watched God create everything except himself. Right? And what's up with that? But he watched all this take place. And he's still so subtle and so convincing. 1/3 of the angels went with him who'd seen all this take place. He lied in front of God. And in Revelations 12:10 again, I heard a loud voice saying in heaven, now has come salvation and strength in the kingdom of our God, the power of his Christ, for the accuser of our brother. The accuser. Who does he accuse us to? He accuses us to God, the judge, the ultimate authority. Now, were it not for Christ, right, the accusations would be true. But because of Christ, the accusations are not true. He is slandering the children of God. I imagine that the names of people who are not saved never cross his lips in front of God. No need. They're already gone. But for those of us who called on the name of Christ, he brings us up regularly. And we got a really good defense attorney, right? Yeah. Got a really good defense attorney who said, hey, That was in my fold. That's one of mine. That's one of my clients. Okay. So the accuser of our brethren is cast down, who accused them before our God day and night. Again, the 7 things that God hates, He hates them because that is Satan's strategy to take from God His most prized possession. And it works, because there's a whole bunch of people in the world not going to make it. And finally, the wrong kind of sowing I got here, sowing discord. So today that's known as stirring the pot, also known as tale-bearing or gossip. Also, you might see that inscription as a whisperer, to whisper something. Why is it, gossip is either done away from the mainstream or it's done in whispers, right? Somebody comes in the back of church and someone else will lean over and say, that's her. What's her? She's running around on her husband. He's running around on his wife. We whisper that. This is gossip. Do we know? Even if we do know, should we be saying it? No. Yeah. So, providing counsel to one that assumes the worst about another. Right? So if I'm talking to Al and I say, that Trey, that is one worthless individual. And you can't trust anybody that has a beard that looks like that. Right? That's a slander. That's a I'm sorry. I didn't say anything about Willie. Oh, okay. I thought you were talking like, hey, Willie's got a beard like that, but he's got the big pigtails too, so
It's almost long enough. I'm working on it.
But that's a slander. That is a gossip. That is a slander. I have provided counsel and I have assumed the worst about somebody whose life I know nothing about. Honestly, look around the room. How much about the lives of the other people in this room do you really know about? Now, don't be looking at your spouse, because that doesn't count. Because you know all about their lives. Be like, yeah, well, what I got to say about you is true. Right? But we don't know. We don't know what they've experienced. We don't know what they've gone through. We don't know what has led them to this point. Always ready to give ourselves an excuse, but never really willing to give anybody else the benefit of the doubt. Okay? Assumes the worst. You must not pass along, Exodus 23:1, you must not pass along false rumors. You must not cooperate with evil people by lying on the witness stand. That's a reference back to the other one that we were just talking about. But it's giving wrong information. Leviticus 19:16, thou shalt not go up and down, that means back and forth through the community, as a talebearer among thy people. If it ain't your business, you got no business talking about it. 1 Timothy 5:13. Paul's giving Timothy some advice, and he's saying, young women who have been widowed, do not take them onto the church employment roles. Don't employ them in the church because they're too young. And if you employ them in the older widows, fine. You can bring them into the church and put them to work doing church business. But the younger women who are widowed, don't do it. He said, because what'll happen is they will learn to be lazy, spend their time gossiping from house to house, meddling in other people's business, talking about things they shouldn't. They become meddlers. If you're not part of the problem, you're part of the solution. And I'm going to tell you, part of the solution never involves going to a third party and telling stories about something you learned about somebody else. You know what that does? That breeds discord, disunity. It starts to bring hatred. So the first 4 that we talked about, the eyes, the tongue, the hands, and the feet, these are personality traits. An individual may have 1 or 2 of these, may have these traits at various parts of their lives. The last 2 are personalities, okay, where all of the first 4 are in work. Okay, but on a much grander scale. Jesus said in John chapter 8, verse 44, he was speaking to the Pharisees when he said this, and he was challenging them for not living as holy as they claimed they were, or as they imposed on other people, right? You are the children of your father the devil, and you love to do the evil things he does. He was a murderer from the beginning. We've talked about that. He has always hated the truth because there is no truth in him. When he lies, it is consistent with his character, for he is a liar and the father of lies. By spreading the gossip and by assuming the worst about people and assuming the worst about others in conversation with people who've got no business knowing anything about what's going on, you drive discord. And Satan's job is to do what? Drive us apart. Get the Baptists are upset with the Lutherans and have them upset with the Episcopalians and have them upset with the Methodists and so on and so forth until, well, you can't be saved unless you go to the Methodist church, and you can't be saved unless you go to the right Episcopalian church, and that's our Lutheran church, and that's where you can be saved. I was perfect when I was 25 years old. The older I get, the further away from perfect I go. And I don't know if I'm just falling apart or I'm just getting smart enough to see that I wasn't nearly as perfect as I thought I was. And that's the benefit of wisdom, of age and experience. You can remember these 7 things that we talked about, the 7 things that God hates. If you can remember them, you will be amazed at how often you see them pop up in Scriptures as you go through them. They're all over the New Testament. You'll see them represented. You'll see them, admonitions to do this way. Or you will see their opposites. The Beatitudes, where Jesus taught, love your enemy, pray for those who despitefully use you. Those were opposites to these 7 things that God hates. So stay tuned. Next week we have more wisdom coming your way. Y'all gonna be so smart when we get finished with this. Just in time for Christmas. Well, we got 30 chapters to go through. I've only made 6 and a half. Okay. Do we have any prayer requests tonight? Yes, sir.